There's a little known rule for endurance athletes. It's called the 1% rule of volume. And I'm here to tell you, if you haven't heard about this rule, it's because people have been using it to trick you for decades. If you're anything like me, you're an athlete who's been obsessed about results since the first finish line you ever hit. And the goal, of course, is to get faster, better, stronger. And the solutions that people sell you are super sexy and involve tons of commitment, time, and energy. But they leave out some of the fine print. And I'm here today to tell you about the fine print. My name is Patrick McCrann. I'm the head coach and founder over here at Endurance Nation. And I work with masters athletes to help them achieve results in endurance races, whether it's swim, bike, run, whether it's just bike only, run only, the results that they've deemed impossible until they've met me and the members of our team and community. Endurance Nation is a special place on the internet where athletes who do the work spend time together, sharing their secrets, sharing insights, sharing advice, sharing the highs and the lows. Like being an endurance athlete is not easy. And also debunking the myths like the one I'm about to tell you here today. The lead up to this is that this is our outseason program time of year, and we're building things together. And I'll be giving you information at the end of this video or in the comments below about how you can access our free resource, our 35 plus page Outseason Blueprint, and how you can be fantastic in the winter. You won't want to miss it. So stay tuned for that. So what's this rule I'm talking about? What's this 1% rule? Well, here's the deal, right? Volume is a very useful tool for endurance athletes. And we know the data. We can see it out there. Some of the most competitive, fastest athletes in the world strategically use volume, right? The Norwegian method is really hot right now. And when you break it down and actually dive deep into the work that these young men are doing, they're actually taking like 3-hour naps during the middle of the day because they're doing work in the morning and the evening. Some days they'll do 3 sessions a day, morning, midday, and evening, and napping in between. Well, that's interesting. What's the rule that's stopping you from doing that? It's the 1% rule, right? Other athletes will do this buildup, right? Same strategy, volume. They'll start in the fall or early winter, and they'll be testing blood lactate, and they'll be monitoring their progress across the course of a year, adjusting their volume and building a target. It's a 3, 4, 5-month buildup of aerobic conditioning. You'll often see this from like Olympians who are doing Olympic speed work. You'll often see it from elite age group athletes as well, who either self-employed, retired, or just maybe have like a sugar mama or a sugar daddy, right? And it's super appealing. Like it's great content online on social media. There's good results for doing that work in terms of like lean body mass and strength and resiliency. But again, that 1% rule comes up and stops you from participating. Right. Last but not least, there's also athletes who are desiring to do that type of work, right? Who are like, listen, I know life is hard. I want to get in there. I want to do this work, who want to be a part of it, who will just basically sell their soul to try and get there. And they also run into that 1% rule. So what's this 1% rule that just stops people, except for those 1%ers, from being able to leverage the work of volume? And it's this, my friends, you're an age grouper. You have a job. You have a life. You have a commitment. And if you didn't have those things, then absolutely you could take full advantage of volume, unless you are not in the 1% of people that can actually withstand the volume. The other part of the volume equation they don't tell you is that lots of volume actually is really stressful on your body. It requires an insane amount of self-awareness and managing your fatigue and your overall health, an investment in self-care, whether it's a chiropractor and a physical therapist, the equipment to keep you healthy, etc. So there's another 1%, not just the 1% who have the time, but the 1% whose bodies can do the work, right? And then there's another 1%er out there. Oh my God, this rule has so many dimensions. The last 1% is that you actually want to do it. Because I'm here to tell you that training like a professional athlete and racing like a professional athlete sounds amazing. You see the pros race and you're like, I'd love to live that lifestyle of training, until you try it. And if you're not sure, do what I did 15 years ago. When I hired my first triathlon coach, and I was like, hey, how are we going to do this? I was already here training, racing, being successful in my business, but I was looking to break through. I was looking to get to Kona, and I needed something different. I sat down and I wrote out, the coach asked me, he said, listen, do me a favor. Just take a look at your week, take your typical training week. Great. You give me a map right of that. Now I want you to go ahead and break out all the other times in your week that you could train. Right? Like, could you swim again in the evening? Write that down, right? Can you bike again on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday? Write that down. Can you run every morning for 2 hours, whatever? Write that down. So I took this week where I had about 10 hours worth of training in there and then filled in all the other buckets. Just outside of my work commitments, I filled in all the buckets. So I sent it over. Here I am expecting this like transformative, like analytical thing to come back. And he looks at it and he says, "This is fantastic. I see all the extra stuff that you added on top of your baseline." I was like, "Great. Okay. So what's the secret?" He said, "The secret?" He's like, "Do this for 6 weeks. Do all of this, all of the training, all the time for 6 weeks. Come back to me, and then we'll see where you're at." That was it. That's like literally, it's like a grind. It's a grist mill. We see that here in the Northeast with athletes who compete and train at a high level for the Boston Marathon on some of the athletic clubs associated with the race. It's a volume club. People break. The ones who survive, it's survivorship bias. It looks great. Do the volume, survive. They don't tell you about the carnage that's left behind of people who couldn't cut it, people who could only run 80 miles per week at sub 6 minutes, right? Those people, they just go away. Like the S&P 500, those results are sort of filtered out in favor of the ones that are performing well enough to sort of make people excited and engaged and want to be a part of the process. And so when we think about what it means to be a successful endurance athlete, Endurance Nation has really flipped the script on what it means. And it starts with our winter program, but more deeply, I want to talk about some of the philosophies that get there so you can understand how we do this, right? So volume is effective. Don't get me wrong. The data doesn't lie. The problem is volume doesn't work for people who have lives. Volume doesn't work for people who have to stay up late, who have young kids. Volume doesn't work for people who have a job that's 9 to 5, but also sometimes more, or a rough commute. Volume doesn't work for people who have interest outside of like work and family, who maybe have a hobby or something else they want to do. Volume doesn't work because you have to commit to it for such a long time frame. Volume doesn't work because the delayed gratification is so large. No race. You just get to start training for a race in 5 months that most people just can't make it. It's just too damn boring. This is why you see a lot of these professionals, whether they be runners or cyclists, triathletes, whatever it may be, are actually part of teams because they need a way to break the monotony. They need someone else who's bought in to do it. But you and I, we're training on our own. We're in the basement. We're in the garage. We're doing this work on our own. How long can you really sustain it? Listen, I've been in the game for almost 24 years here as an athlete, and I've seen people try the game. And most people can make it. The most successful I've seen is about 6 months before they just can't make it anymore because it is a massive grind. The toll is phenomenal. And for an honest age grouper as well, it's really damn expensive to just buy that much food. Like all the food you need to eat for all that volume is insane. I don't even know how some of these sponsored athletes make it work unless you're sponsored by like Wegmans or Shaw's or Whole Foods. It's not going to really work out for you. Right? So how do we handle this balance inside Endurance Nation? If we know volume works, but we also know the majority of athletes can't leverage volume to the extent to which it will deliver the results they need, we get sneaky. All right, so how do we use volume inside Endurance Nation? Well, I really want to talk to you about the winter, but I'll tell you this. We use a couple of key mechanisms, right? We have training camps that we use. So we'll actually take people away and we'll do 5 or 6 days of really low base volume work. That as a counterpoint to regular training, it's actually a significant dose of training, right? We'll compress that volume into a week so we can remove the distractions for a week. You pay the price to go somewhere to do this training, and it removes the distractions, the obligations. You can do the work and see results for it. Now, those results don't last all year, but they can carry you through this year. They can actually significantly level you up. Another way we do it for people who don't want to travel is we have big weeks. We've got a big bike week and we've got a big tri week. It's 2 protocols. And these are weeks that we essentially insert into an athlete's training plan at strategic times during the year when athletes do need to leverage volume. And they can lock in for 6 days. They can tell their family, hey, listen, this is it. I am locked down for 5 days or 6 days, and I'm really going to get this done. We start off with like 3-day weekends at first to kind of pilot, but we build up to that big week. So we can take advantage of volume, but we use the constraints of a boundary, a real rigid boundary, to make sure that we're doing the work in a dedicated period of time. And we're not using this anywhere else in life because the downsides come out very quickly and start to undermine your ability to train. So most people who are doing volume, but are living an age group life are not doing nearly enough volume to get the results that they want. If you go take a look at your favorite triathlete, for example, pro triathlete, and see how much aerobic volume are they doing, you'll see 20 to 25 hours in the off season of aerobic volume. Your best week, your peak week has probably never cracked 20 hours. How can you possibly stack 10, 25-hour weeks together? You can't. For most of you, that's your annual training volume just compressed into 10 weeks. It's going to take you 5 or 6 years to get to a place where you can even hang that type of program on the wall and actually go after it. The cost is massive. I'll see you in 2031. Can't wait to see how fit you are when we get there. right? So we don't do that. We use that volume and strategic doses. And the counterpoint to that is we actually make training really interesting for you. We use intervals to create stress in your training, and you'll see it happen in our Outseason program, where we constrain the time of your training every single week, and we manipulate the intensity within the context of those different workouts, whether they're one sport or multi-sport, to actually create additional training stress and to see the results that we want. At the counterpoint, the balance of doing this quality work in short periods of time means that we have plenty of time in your life to recover from the work that we're doing. We have opportunities as we move in season to add volume and get additional growth out of things, right? And make sure that you're actually ready for your race. So instead of doing volume in the winter, we do volume in during the regular season when the weather's nicer, daylight's longer, everybody gets it. Oh, you're going to train 5 hours today. It's a gorgeous day. It's, Memorial Day weekend. Go out, ride your bike, be safe. Look out for the people who are drinking. Great, knock yourself out. Trying to do 5 hours on like December 3rd, your spouse is going to go nuts. What are you doing 5 hours on the bike in the basement now? You're going to be gone from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. in the basement. You're here, but you're not here. For what? Wait, sorry, say that again. Your race is in August, and it's December, and you need 5 hours now. Where does this go? You know where it goes. The miles go up over time. Everybody loses in that paradigm. You never make it. You don't get the results. Your family practically hates you. And there you are stuck in your basement, like in this sick punishment mode. Whereas your favorite pro athletes are like, actually in the winter, I just go to Australia and train. And you're like, oh, that must be nice. I don't get to leave Cleveland. This is where I'm stuck, right? Like this is the work. So we don't think about it that way. So how does Endurance Nation take account for the fact that we have volume that we use in small doses, and then we use intensity as a tool and the constraints of your daily life to create the conditions for fitness? What are we missing in this balance? We're missing durability. The hidden benefit of all of that volume is building a level of resilience with your body, mental toughness as well, that actually prepares you to be excellent, not only for the cost physically of the race, but also the mental acuity and the mental grind that is putting together a 10, 12, 14-hour day. It's real work. Like there's no joke there, right? So how do we think about getting into a place where we can actually be successful inside that area? We focus on filling the gaps with durability. And this is basically the component that complements your training plan, but is not your training plan. And this, my friends, is all of that active recovery work. So you can be training and doing high quality work, but still get 10,000 steps a day and see durability benefits, right? We can see you doing your high level training and not weightlifting as well, because you may see diminishing returns on your high level of training and your intensity, but doing like weighted vest walks. Awesome. Let's take that hiking, that walking, let's add some weights to that. We'll make it functional and we'll see those results, right? Instead of putting you in a full gym protocol, we'll give you a daily mobility routine that you'll do during this winter block, 5 days a week for 14 weeks, 60 days of really good focused work, just 15, 20 minutes a day. That stacks up. You build strength, you build resilience, you learn functional movements, and you develop requisite strength in those key areas to be solid. All of that really makes a difference. So the way that it works inside Endurance Nation is we leverage your time critically to make investments when it matters most. We give you high intensity workouts to make sure that you're maximizing your ROI on your training time, and you're developing levels of fitness that are not only just fun, but also really impactful for your season. And then we complement that type of work with this body of aerobic training that we call active recovery, that complements the work that you're doing, that allows you to build the durability that keeps you strong. Instead of running 20 miles a week as 5 4-mile runs or 4 or 5 mile runs, we'll have you run 20 miles a week as like 6 3-mile runs, right? So just short stuff, like put on the coffee pot, set it to a low temperature, then, go run 30 minutes, come back, the water's just about to boil, have your coffee done. You're doing it in zone 1, right? But it's all we need is just a little bit. We just stack it consistently over time, and we take away that volume demand and instead replace it with the consistency of this micro-dosed work that allows you to build the durability that complements the high-level fitness. So instead of sticking with this whole body of work where we've got this huge box and we got to fill it up with all of this training, instead we say we're going to peg those numbers high for the threshold and the high-level strength that we need to really build your high fitness, make training fun. Let's get in there, do some Zwift races, let's do some intervals. And then we also go the low, and we'll say, let's get that consistent and durability style work in. Combined, we are allowed to kind of circumvent and get into a place where we can actually make you stronger and faster by also adding in, as we get into season, our race execution protocols, our nutrition protocols for you, all the things you need to do to be smarter. The compromise is, you don't get to train 25 hours a week doing zone 1 on the bike. Like, I'm so sorry. You can't just ride 80 laps around your town every 3 days to be fit again. You could do that if you want to, but you don't have to. Now, for sure, if you're looking for peak performance, you're looking to be the best in the world, you're going to have to make a choice. Make that choice once you've gotten really close to being the best in the world. And our athletes are going to Kona, they're going to the World Championships, they're top 10 in their age group, they're getting the big buckle at Leadville, and they're not doing those crazy, crazy hours. Sure, they'll do a crazy training week or something like that, but they're not sacrificing their everyday life, nickel and diming their family, ignoring their friends outside of work, suffering at work where the lights go out because the motion sensor is turned on and they passed out at their desk. We're not doing that type of work because we're actually using these constraints to our advantage. So if you're thinking about your training for this next year, you can really go volume. You can say, I'm going to go volume and put all these pieces together, and I'm going to use this blunt instrument repeatedly to deliver results. Very simple on paper, very hard to execute. Endurance Nation flips that script and says, you know what? We're going to need a little more of your organizational brain. We're going to have to do a little bit of timing to make sure that we're using strategies appropriate to your race schedule and the goals that you have. And we're going to ask you for a commitment on a daily basis to participate in the durability work required to help you achieve your greatness. Once you get to that level, once you get to be top 50 in your age group at a race, then let's have a conversation about what it means to add more volume to your. But for those of you who are in the beginning of this endurance journey, whether it's a new sport or you're just young and getting into the overall sport of endurance athletics together right now with peers or friends, understand that choosing that level of commitment right now is not the obsession that you want. Be obsessed about your sport. Be obsessed about your gear. Be obsessed about intervals. Be obsessed about consistency and durability. Don't be obsessed about volume. It's super sexy. It's kind of neat to look at, but it's not something you ever want to have. Take it from me. I've been in the sport since 2001 doing endurance athletic races, and I've done a mountain of training, as people will tell you, and my Strava will attest. In the end of the day, the result has been the same. I really enjoy putting in the work, but you know what? More than the work, I love the results and doing the right work that gets you the results you want. And you get to walk away from all the stuff that's the extra baggage that doesn't help you get to where you need to be is a fantastic feeling. Putting together a great race doesn't mean suffering for 25 hours a week for the better part of 6 months. You can be phenomenal with the right program and the right supports. And that's what we do here inside Endurance Nation. If you want to learn more, head over to our webpage where you can get more about the Outseason. It's www.endurancenation.us/blueprint. It's a free download, 35 plus pages. It'll break down specifically for you how we tackle the winter, and you can get a sense of how it is we're working through things. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll be back with another opportunity for you to learn about how Endurance Nation is flipping the traditional endurance coaching model on its head and helping you and age groups just like you to have a fantastic season without all that baggage that nobody wants. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you next time.